The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 184. We are live on YouTube and over on Facebook. So if you're out there, please say something in the chat because we don't know that you're out there unless you do. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, new to the podcast, whatever, make sure you say hello and tell us where you're from. We'll try to shout you out, and we hope to not make you any dumber. We can't guarantee that. I'm not going to speak for any of my guests, but I know that I am not the sharpest crayon in the box. But we're going to try to have some fun and maybe pass on a little knowledge, at least our opinion. Whether or not you take it as knowledge or not, we're going to pass on our opinion. If you're out there in the chat live and you want to ask a question or leave a comment, by all means do that. Make sure you tag one of us in the panel so we can at least maybe see it and all that. The chat can sometimes get kind of fast. Tag us in that by putting the @ in our channel thing, either at Ghost Tactile or CloverTac or whoever. And we'll try to get to those questions if they're relevant to the conversation. If you want to call in, yes, you can call into the show or text into the show. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at theguncleaners.com. That number is scrolling down below. It's 530-364-4678. If you're a veteran and you're in that hole and you're not feeling good about things and you can't seem to find that light or actually lost hope that there is light out there, first of all, call me, text me, email me 24/7, 365. I can't give you medical advice, but I sure as hell can probably be a pretty decent ear and maybe talk you through some stuff. I'm here anytime for you guys. But if you're looking for someone that can give you medical advice or point you in the right direction of where you can seek help, first of all, remember two things. One, you're not alone. Okay. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So please, please, please contact the Veteran Crisis Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255, the Veteran Crisis Hotline. We're obviously going to be spotlighting the United States Marine Corps, and if you have any questions or want to find out more information on what it takes to earn the title of United States Marine, please see the website marines.com. And as always, we are a very proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. If you're out there and you're looking for great pro-2A, pro-freedom, pro-gun podcasts from a lot of different people, go check out selfradio.net. Self-Defense Radio, not self-radio. Self-Defense Radio, it's up there. You can read. Selfdefenseradio.net, and it's a great place to have a lot of great conversations and listen to some great podcasts. So before we kind of get going in the conversation, let's bring in our shotgun rider himself. No, it's not Charlie, but it is the man from the great state of Texas, the tactical virus. I mean, leprechaun. I call you the tactical virus because you're everywhere, man. You just seem to just take over everywhere. What's up, Clover? How you doing, buddy?
I'm okay. Yeah. Did not forget the video drop again today. So that's good. That's good. Yeah. So it's like 2 weeks in a row now, man. 2 weeks in a row.
Russell's out there says, "Now this guy's recruiter, negative Ghost Rider. That pattern is full. I am not a recruiter. I just that's part of who I am and part of what this channel's mission is. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, no, not a recruiter. I want to say thanks real quick. I see TJ's out there. If you see him in the green out there, that is a YouTube channel member. I want to say thank you to all of my channel. I've got, 4 or 5 channel members out there. Thank you to all of you. And obviously, thank you so much to all the patrons. You guys make the channel, make the company, everything that we are, you make it run. You are the engine to my vehicle, if you would say that. So thank you so much for everyone out there that does that. Yeah, so we're going to talk some cool stuff tonight. Once again, everyone knows I'm a member of a lot of different groups on Facebook, and I know that people talk about Facebook, all that. Facebook does have some really good parts to it, and these groups that you can. I know Clover's a part of a bunch of them, and all of that. But part of the great thing about Facebook, you get these groups of like-minded people or people trying to find out more information. And I'm a lot of EDC and concealed carry groups, and amongst other things. But one of the things that keeps popping up in the last month or so in a lot of these groups is either they're new gun owners or they're potential new gunners. They want to get into the first gun because they want to carry and all of that, but they don't know what to get, or they're gun owners but have never carried, and they want to, hey, I want to get a gun specifically for carry. What's out there? And obviously you're going to get all sorts of people out there. There was a comment made, and I don't remember what it was. I called Clover immediately on it last week. I don't remember what it was, but it was just asinine. Someone asked a question, and this guy, do you remember what that was? I can't remember what that was, but it was so asinine. I almost started laughing, and I was like, this is the guy that's giving. Oh, that's what it was. It's about 380.
Oh yeah, 380 wouldn't shoot through a hoodie or something.
Wouldn't shoot through. These guys says, I'm thinking about 380 versus 9, but blah blah blah. What's a good 380? Guy says, 380 is worthless. It wouldn't even penetrate through a hoodie or a puffy jacket. And I'm like, this is the guy that's giving advice to people. I said, you know what? I am not going to let this happen. We're going to talk about stuff. I'm not saying that we're experts, but I'm pretty sure we both know, Clover, that 380 and 22 will go through a freaking sweatshirt.
Well, Abraham Lincoln, I remember he posted a few months ago or something. He said, don't trust what you read on the internet. So there you go.
That's right. Yeah, Clover says the first rule of Facebook, we don't talk about Facebook. There's some validity in that.
I mean, that's almost where you have to start with this whole conversation you want to do tonight, right? You're going to have to throw all this BS about this caliber won't work or will work, and that I mean, come on, man. People were defending themselves and whatever with 25 caliber, 22 caliber black powder once upon a time. I mean, it's a bunch of BS, man.
Yeah. 1% out there says first time listener, long time caller. Wait, I did miss something or did something wrong.
That's what I told him. I was like, first time listener. I don't think Richie's ever listened in his life, and I doubt he's starting now, but
I doubt it.
But we'll go with that. If he wants to, we'll go with that.
Hey, we can make that work however you want to do. They're talking ammo out there, $219 for 300 rounds. That's what, 79 cents a round is what he says. That's crazy. That's actually better than I've seen people paying $1.20 for 9mm per round lately. Yep. And
was that for 9mm? 79 cents a round?
I don't know what he was. I don't know, but I didn't see 9mm. So they're talking 9mm. So I'm assuming that's what they were talking about. Right now you're looking at, you can find it for different, Ammo Seek. You can find certain places for about 60 cents per round, all the way up to $1.25 per round, depending on what you're looking for. And it's nuts.
My local gun shop they had 9, 40, 45. They had several things. Of course, they've got a 1 box limit, 1 box a day, but the 9, dang, I'm trying to think now. What was the 9 they have? Couldn't even remember the brand they had of 9. Oh man, it sucks. May have been Seller and Bellet. May have been Seller and Bellet. I want to say Seller and Bellet, but $25 a box. And I didn't look at the invoice, but there's no doubt in my mind he paid at least 20 a box for that, if not 22 or 23.
Absolutely. KP of their Kingpin says picked up his PPQ today. So 2 things. 1, waiting for a video for that because I want to see your reaction to it. And because Clover and I both have PPQ, and I think it's pretty obvious how we feel about that gun and that platform. I've got the subcompact. He's got the full size. Very, very fond of it in so many ways. And, it's over there. I want to hear what your thoughts about it are. And two, I would like to hear what you think of the trigger specifically. Because man, it's
after he gets maybe 100 rounds or 200 rounds to it. Anyway,
well, hell, even right out of the box, it's better than most.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mine had a little bit of grit.
Really, mine didn't.
Yeah, mine had a little bit of grit early on. It's machining marks or what have you. Yeah. I mean, is all it is. It's not. That's why there's break-in periods on things. Most things anyway. CZs. And talking about CZ, talking about the metal frame CZ stuff. They're pretty good to polish things up. Smith & Wesson with the revolvers are pretty good to, that sort of thing. But machining marks, tool marks and stuff, it happens.
It happens. Now, you and I on your podcast last night, we got in a little 10 millimeter conversation. Rod out there says he got some 10 millimeter the other day for 46 cents a round. That's really not that bad.
No, not for 10.
Not for 10. So, nice. Very, very nice. Let's see. I'm going through before we jump in the conversation. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything dramatic. Defense Dad says, best first defense, shake your cat to piss them off and toss it at the intruders. I got multiple switchblades and 9 lives. So you get your rifle. There is, and I don't know if you are or not, Clover. Are you a member of any like concealed carrier EDC groups on Facebook? But a lot of mine are talking about a lot of knife conversation lately. And obviously Obnoxious one is he's head first into the knife life right now, but a lot of people are talking knives and all that. We talked a little bit about knives last night too, as a matter of fact. So,
I'm just not I'm not into knives enough to be able to talk the difference in the steel and the just quality. And I if it looks cool and it basically cuts paper, I'm happy. Cuts packing tape, right? Like I'm happy.
Yep. MKJO says 9 MP Shield Plus. Yeah. So a couple new guns in the last few days kind of released to the market from some major manufacturers. Hold on here. Is this? That's my daughter calling. So yeah, she'll have to call my wife. And whoa, what in the hell here is this? Yeah. Here we go. All right. So anyways, Amateur Night, man. Amateur Night. So a couple new guns in the last couple of days from some of the big manufacturers. You've got the M&P Shield Plus and then Ruger with the, is it the Max 9? I think is what they're calling it. The Max 9. Both look really, really good. The Max 9 to me, just from pictures that I've seen, looks like it's going to be a really comfortable gun. I kind of like the stippling pattern. It reminds me of some other guns that I have that have the stippling. I'm not a big aggressive stippling guy. I don't like the skateboard tape, like sandpaper that's going to cut your hand, but I do like some texture, and it doesn't look like it's overly aggressive in pictures. I have not held either one of them yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And then obviously the Shield. I'm a huge fan of the Shield, but that Shield Plus. I think honestly that's probably the answer to the 365. Would you guess that that's Smith's answer to the 365?
Yeah, and the Hellcat and the 42s and 43s and
the 43Xs and all of that. So yeah, I think that's their answer. Right. Knowing Smith and the Shield, it's probably going to be damn good. I look forward to get both of them. At least my hands on them, at least try out. Not saying I want to buy them both, but at least maybe if someone around here has them, I'm going to try to get a couple of magazines through them just to get some B-roll maybe and get some ideas of how I feel about them. But they both look good to me. The Ruger Max 9 and pictures looks really good to me. So do you have any thoughts, or what are your thoughts of just seeing the pictures?
I'm not a Smith & Wesson autoloader fan.
You know that.
I've never made any bones about that, so I'm not at all impressed with that. Don't care if I ever lay hands on it, honestly. The Ruger. What concerns me with a Ruger, look forward to at least being able to pick one up and fondle it, right? What bothers me with Ruger, this was the case with the LCP I've got. It's been the case with the 5.7. It's been the case with several other ones. And it's also the case, honestly, with my 42s and with the 43 and 43Xs and the 365s. is they're really thin, and I don't like that. On my 42, I've got a Hogue Overmold grip, and it makes the grip the perfect size for me. I love it with that on there. But my concern with that is how it's going to feel as far as the width of the grip. They did go a little bit wider, like maybe a quarter inch or something like that. Maybe not quite wider. And so, is that enough? I don't know, but that would be interesting to see, because that would it looks. I love the front. I love the sights on it. Period. Just looking at it, love the sights on it. And so, yeah, that's going to be kind of a deal breaker to me. Whether I kind of love it or go is when I pick it up and how thick it is in the grip.
So my daughter's out there, says hello, waves to me. She called a second ago, obviously. And I said, I'm a little busy. And her boyfriend had to remind her that I was doing this tonight. So thank you, Brendan. I'm glad that at least someone remembers. So yeah, I love you, kiddo. Right. I'll call you later. And all that. So it is what it is.
At least she's not like mine the other day, calling for tax advice again.
That happened last week. Yeah.
God, I'm like, kiddo, don't you have a 5-year $100,000 plus education in business management and accounting and all of that?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but I didn't do good on the tax part of it. Then I'm like, okay. She's like, I do accounting. I don't do the tax part of it. So I barely passed that. I'm like, whatever.
I mean, I'm going to help my daughter out. Obviously, we're going to help our kids out all we can. But basically said H&R Block or TurboTax, whatever software you're going to get, they literally are very good about question. And you just, if it takes you 2 weeks to do them, then it takes you 2 weeks to do them. So
yeah, and that's how I've done hers over the years anyway. So she's already got an account, and I was like, look, just go on there. I said, until you hit the button that says you're about to transmit this to the IRS electronically, you can change anything and everything.
Anything. They don't know.
So get to that point and then call me, and I'll log in and look at it, and then we can go from there. But at least try it yourself.
That's right. Wayne out there says Smith & Wesson M&P 15 pistol, 7.5-inch barrel. Okay, so here's me. Okay, am I going to sit there and say that I don't have any AR pistols? No, I've got several of them over here in a couple different calibers. But I've come to think for me personally, 223/556. Okay, I can understand maybe a 10.5-inch if you don't want to go the full 16 or 18 or 20-inch barrels that they come with. I could see 10.5, 12.5-inch. When you start talking a 7.5-inch barrel, for me, at that point, I'm going to go for me, like a 9mm, or maybe, I would go like 10mm or whatever. I would go pistol caliber at that 7.5-inch, 5.5-inch pistol for me, because at 7.5 inches, you're taking a 223 and basically cutting the nuts off of it. It may reach out to 250 yards, maybe. But at that point, why wouldn't you go to like a 10.5 or 12.5-inch pistol, what do you call it? Configuration, and keep that 223. If you're going to go 7.5 inches, I really do think this is my person. I think you should go with a pistol caliber of some sort, whether it's 9 or 10 or even 45 or something like that. It's 7.5 inches. Do I have 7.5-inch pistols? I do in 223. But I think ballistically and what you're going to get out of it for a 7.5-inch barrel, I think that a pistol caliber is going to be much more manageable and easier to do whatever you want to do with that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on 7.5-inch pistols, AR pistols, and rifle calibers?
I think it could get it done. I mean, it definitely gets around.
Get done. It's not. You've
had pistol competition, and these are mostly little bolt action guns. But you've had with the 222, 221, 221 fireball, which is very similar to a 223. Things like that. You've had like long distance pistol competition with those and that type of barrel lengths for many years. So It's not unusual. I know that it might seem weird, but historically speaking, from a firearm owner, user, shooting sports standpoint, it's not really that uncommon or weird. But it does give the cartridge, yes. My take would be that one of the takeaways I would throw out there is if you're gonna go 12, 10 is about the cutoff for me. If you're gonna go 12, 4 more inches is not that much.
Right.
You get completely away from the pistol. It's a rifle platform. You can basically do whatever you want with it. You're not stuck with braces and weird possible weirdness and other things, right?
Right.
And you're basically getting maximum efficiency from it. So I don't know why, if you're going to go over 10, I would say go ahead and go 16, save yourself the headache.
And so that's two. Yeah. And I see the validity in that as well. I just think at a 7.5 inch configuration, 223, you're not going to be able to allow that projectile to really do what it was made to do it in a 7.5 inch barrel. I think that you could really get done at 7.5 inches. I think a pistol caliber, because someone mentioned that, I can't remember who it was, I'm sorry, but someone up there says at 7.5 inches, 5.5, 7.5 inches, you're looking at CQB or a truck gun. It's kind of what I would imagine, but that's pretty much what you're limited to in that point. And I get that 100%. So if you're going to go CQB with it, then why not go 9mm, 10mm, or 45 ACP, a pistol caliber, match something that you're going to carry with you. So if you're carrying on your hip 9mm, then go with a 9mm 7.5. So at least you're able to share ammo, possibly even share mags if you're running a Glock with a Glock mag lower or whatever. If you're running a 10 in the hip, run 10 in that carbine. You're able to do that. You're able to go, pistol, rifle, whatever it is. That's just me, but that's coming from a specific reasoning why. I just think that at 7.5 inches with a rifle caliber, you're really, really sacrificing what that projectile can do out of that barrel. That's just me. Let's see here. Bernie says there's no stability in anything less than.
What I just commented or replied to out there, it's like you're taking barrel length, and when you take barrel length into consideration when you're talking stability, that is probably the least important factor of stability. Number one is going to be the projectile weight. Number two is going to be the twist, and then you get into barrel length after that. So I know many 7.5, 8 inch, 8.5 inch that stability at what range, right? Because things start to wobble when they go.
You might be fine, but at 200 yards down range,
right? As they start to lose velocity, lose energy, you wind shear, right? There's a lot of different things. Wind shear is dependent upon projectile design, even. So that comes into play. So this whole notion of stability, and I'm not accusing Bernie out there of anything, but I'm saying a lot of people talk stability, and it would be interesting to have a deeper conversation with those people and kind of understand what they mean by stability. Because if they're talking about the actual, like a football spiral, the twist, tight twist of that projectile as it moves through the air, there's a lot of factors, and barrel length is one, and not even the major one, in my opinion.
Right. Luis out there says, what about an Anderson AR-15 16-inch 5.56 1-in-8 twist? I'm assuming it's with the 1.0. I'm assuming that's 1-in-8 twist.
Probably.
I have no problem with that. A 16-inch 5.56 with a 1-in-8 twist, that's pretty standard.
Rather say you have a 1-in-7, but 1-in-8 is about what you see on just about everything nowadays. So,
but Anderson, there's not a whole lot out there that's absolute trash. If you've got a trigger or there's a part of that that's trash, you could always change that out. I have a couple Anderson lowers, no problem whatsoever. So you're asking me, are you asking my opinion on an Anderson 16-inch 5.56 1-in-8 twist? If you get it for a good price that you're willing to pay for it, I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. You got anything on the Anderson stuff?
I'm trying to think if I own anything that's built on an Anderson, and I think I do. I'm drawing a blank on what it is right now. But I've shot tons of it and helped build off of tons. I mean, I've got experience with tons of Anderson stuff, and I don't see any across the board inherent. Yeah, I don't see any across the board inherent problems or anything else. One beside the other, but that beside anything else high end,
it's really what you're going to put into that lower.
Yeah.
In the parts kit that's really going to make the difference. The actual shell of the lower.
That's and that's the thing. I mean, everything equal. Use the same furniture, right? Make them virtually look the same, and then duct tape over the brand and everything. And then tell somebody, okay, here's 10 ARs, and they virtually all look identical, right? No branding or anything, and say, here's 10 ARs, here's 10 companies, match the company to the AR. I can guarantee you there's probably not a person on the planet that can do that. That's how, basic configuration, basic performance works with most of those. They're okay across the board.
So I wanted to I'm ready to type it, but I'll just tell you. Wayne says good info things. Hey, first of all, Wayne, I want to say this. Not trying to talk you out of a 7.5 inch 223. If that's what you want, and it's going to get what you want to get done, hell, go buy it. You're asking my opinion, and I'm coming from a different place. Clover's coming from a different place. We kind of went opposite directions, but for different reasons. And we're coming from where I look at stuff like that. And do I have, like I said, I've got a couple of them, but right now, if I'm going to go buy their 7.5, it's going to be a 9. Something, that's just me, but by no means, and I think I speak for Clover, we're not saying not to go get it. If that's what you want and that fills that need and that want for you, man, have fun with that thing. Go buy it and shoot the hell out of it. That's what I'm saying.
Home defense. I mean, it's going to work for something like that. Shorter range. I mean, definitely not a problem.
So there was someone talking. Where did I find it? I just saw it. So Kevin Smith. What's up, Kevin? How are you doing? Says, are we going to get the CZP-10M, which I think is the micro in America? I'm sure we will. Here's the thing about CZ. The micro, that's a niche over here. That's a big piece of the concealed carry market, is trying to get these micro guns now and all of that. So yeah,
right.
I don't see why you wouldn't. Understand now that most, and this sounds, I'm not saying all, but most gun manufacturers, if they have a presence at all in America, most of the time they're developing guns, even if they're in Europe, the end goal is to get them here. Why? Because we have the most guns of the country. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, every gun is developed. If they have a presence in America, they're going to try to get to America because we're the market. So I would say we're the market for civilians. So I would imagine that you'll see it. You'll see a lot of stuff come out this year. The G3C Toro is sweet. Yeah, I've been looking at that. Obviously, I just had the G3 here for a couple of weeks. Love it. That Toro, everyone's talking about the Toro, and I haven't had my hands on it yet. It does look pretty good. It's more of the compact versus the full size. But yeah, I'm not converted yet, but I bought my ticket to the tourist train. I'm kind of liking with it. This G3 is really, really good. We'll see what happens down the line. If they continue to produce some pretty good semi-autos out pistols, then we can talk about getting on the tourist
train. There's word on the street is, I'll just say that way, something new's coming, right? There's a storm of brewing. There's something's coming.
Yeah.
And I joke. I think a lot of people say that, and very few people know what at this point is coming from Taurus. But I hear tell something is coming, so it's going to be interesting to see. Do they go smaller? Do they go larger? Do they go more geared to competition? Do they go more geared to maybe now that Ruger has that Max 9, maybe something that's more in line with that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. It's fun to speculate, though.
Do they go after a 10mm market? Or
that's what I was going to say. Maybe it's a 10mm. Maybe it's a 10mm Taurus 10mm carbine, right? Ooh.
Ooh. Just throwing some shit out there.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
No. So
everyone's going to start going looking for press releases for a Taurus 10mm carbine now. It's like,
right?
Yeah.
Clover don't know. I'll tell you right now. Clover don't know. I mean, like I said, I've heard whispers something's coming. That's all I can say. Say for sure, anyway.
That's right. M&P Shield 3.0. There's going to be, I think that this year is going to be the year for some really cool stuff because no one could really release anything last year. So I really do think that you're going to see some interesting guns come out, and understand that a lot of them were probably supposed to be released last summer, last fall, just couldn't get it done for a lot of different reasons. But hey, RGG's out there and says couldn't join that. Hey, no worries, bro. I'm going to send you the link. You don't feel like you have to join. When you get a link, if you can join, great. I sent a link to about 10 people. Obviously, Clover's the only one that showed up. I don't have many friends, so it is what it is. No, but you're always welcome if you get a link. Let's see here. Steven Elder says, I'm hoping Glock will come out with a 44 mag. Okay, I'm not going to go too far in this rabbit hole, because we can go down this rabbit hole. We've gone down this rabbit hole. I truly believe that somewhere in a desk drawer is sitting 3 designs. There is a Glock revolver, there is a Glock 1911, and there's a Glock AR-15 designed, waiting for Gustav to go. That's just me.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
I think there is a crap ton of designs sitting in a drawer somewhere for all kinds of things. But I think the most likely first move, I do agree with you 100%. That's why the G44, I know their PR with the whole legendary and blah, 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 blah. I get it. Outside looking in, I get it. But for Glock, for Gaston to sign off on that was legendary. That was freaking legendary because a rimfire Glock was a totally different design and thought process and configuration and everything else than what has been done before. And he historically is very anti-deviation from that, right? Yeah. We know that. I think the first move, honestly, is once he's out of the picture, once the old man kicks it, is a carbine, is a pistol caliber carbine. Yep. I think that's going to be the number one thing.
All that.
To talk specifically on the 44 Magnum, have you ever shot a Deagle? There is pretty much no 2 pistols that could be any more diametrically opposed than a Glock and a Deagle. And so for Glock there's no way you could beef up a Glock frame to do that. I don't think you could from an engineering standpoint. I don't see it happening.
It would be it would be fun yet dangerous to be in the R&D division trying to get that done with a polymer frame.
Yeah, I don't think you could.
I think I'd probably like to have fun with that, but I have to sign a bunch, and they're going to want me to sign a bunch of waivers. But wouldn't that be fun?
Well, they lock stuff into rest. They've got the hostage style rest, and they're able to lock stuff in and do things. And they fire it remote and all that kind of stuff. But
Jesse says a Glock revolver would be fascinating. There would be a lot of things to be fascinating. I would be the first one in line to buy a Glock pistol caliber carbine or AR platform.
I don't, here's the thing. We joke about Gaston passing away, right? And doing things. Yeah. But I don't know even if he passes away.
Yes, I think I can Gustav,
the talk of a 1911, for example, the talk of a revolver.
That would be something I can see.
So I can't see either one of those. And let me tell you why. Is because even with him out of the picture, I think their expertise, their tooling, all of their other stuff, I still don't see them deviating way too far out of that, right? And they could have a really simplistic Glock-esque as far as minimalist on parts and all that in a pistol caliber carbine, right? You're not going to be able to do that with a 1911 or a revolver. Those things are Swiss watches, and they require tuning and precision and things that Glock is not. You can take 20 Glock 19s of the same gen, take them completely apart, put them in a box, shake them up,
interchange,
put 20 back together, and they all shoot just like they did when they went in. And 1911s revolvers, that doesn't work that way. And so I don't know that even his successors, kids, whatever, are willing to go that far with things.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you field this one because I know this is we've had this discussion and you had some interesting thoughts on it. But Kevin, out there, your thoughts on CZ buying Colt? I know you and I talked about that not too long ago, and
I think it'll,
takes on it.
I think that may up the Colt 1911 game a little bit. Colt has over the years has dropped off a little bit on their quality control. So I think that yeah, across the board. And so I think that picks up their quality control. CZ's pretty boutique, and CZ likes that niche following. I mean, we joke about the hipsters or whatever all the time. And Colt does have its boutique, hipster, whatever you want to call it, niche following. So, I think they embrace that. I think they pick up the quality control, and I think we start seeing some good stuff. I think you start seeing. I don't think they're going to deviate. I don't think you're going to see CZ using the Colt name and coming up with something crazy out of the box. I just don't see it. I see them sticking with potentially the AR platform stuff and certainly the revolvers and the 1911s. But I don't see them coming out with a poly Colt and Now one thing I would like them to do, because CZ, as far as on the 22 side of things and a handgun, CZ is super limited. So one thing I would like them to do with Colt is to bring back the Woodsman. Let me know out there in the live chat or down in the comments below about that one. But we talked about Standard Manufacturing on some show, bringing back their version of the Colt Woodsman. But that would be pretty cool if CZ said, hey, now that we've got Colt, we got access to all this, and we don't really have a lot of 22 handguns. We're bringing back the frickin' Woodsman. That would be awesome. I'd like to see that.
Now, there's a side of this that I'm intrigued by, not because I think what you were talking about in a different arena is it's going to be fascinating. Were there some Colt designs that initially were shot down by Colt and said, we don't want to do that CZ might say, a CZ revolver? Or vice versa? Is there some sort of a nice semi-auto design that CZ did that they said, don't know, but they could slap a Colt and now have a Colt semi-auto? Or is there a Colt AR design or something that it could be and now have a CZ AR platform? Something like that, using between the two companies some designs that may not have made it through the board meetings or whatever, but could utilize in the other brand. That could be fascinating. So that's something I'm looking for to see. Do they have a little cross-pollination here or not? I think that would be really, really interesting. Be kind of cool. But yeah. So we're gone 38 minutes and haven't even started into our thing. So let's go ahead and
we talked a little bit. We had to tackle the caliber debate. That went down a rabbit hole, but
Yeah. But these are great questions. They were relative to the conversation and all of that. They weren't off the wall weird stuff. We get some of those, but it's okay. But what we're going to do, Kevin says an AR with a CZ trigger. That could be interesting. There you go. But yeah, we're going to talk a little about concealed carry. We talked about a little bit about how I came to this topic is seeing in some of these groups and Facebook groups and all of that some information, and should I say advice, given to newer gun owners or new to concealed carry lifestyle have been weird, to say the least. Right. And I'm not saying by any means that Clover and I are experts in anything, but
I'll say it. I'm not shy.
Yeah. But when I hear someone telling someone don't go 380 because it won't penetrate a hoodie or a jacket, that guy should not be giving advice to anyone. So I decided we're going to have some fun with this and talk about when you're looking for, whether you're a new gun owner looking to buy a gun for carry or for self-defense, or you're already a gunner, but you've never made that choice to get a gun specifically for carry. What should we be looking for? What should you be looking for and all of that? Obviously, the biggest thing we can tell you is go shoot as many guns as you can until you find the one. And I promise you, when you find the one, you'll know. You'll be like, oh, that feels good. That shoot good. You'll know.
Yep.
But if you want to start kind of getting an idea of some things to look for, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So before we kind of go into all this, I want to say, Clove, you're unlike me in a way. You don't have a rather large carry rotation. You've got a couple, three, maybe it's one primary with a couple others that you do carry on occasion. I've got probably 5 or 6 that are in a rotation that I do a couple weeks at a time or whatever. And people will say that's stupid. I don't care. That's what I choose to do. But when you are thinking about buying a gun or adding a gun you may already have into that carry rotation, what are some of the things, not for everyone to look, but what are some of the things that you look for in that firearm? Do you have boxes that they've got to kind of check before you say this is going to the rotation?
Yeah, I do. Now to back it up just a little bit, I mean, I've really only got honestly 3 that I would consider my rotation at this point. Pardon me, but as far as open carry, I mean, all options are pretty much on the table. I've carried dozens of firearms in the last year, open carry. But there is sort of a common theme. I've got firearms that I am not inherently proficient with, and I stay away from those. So, things like my CZ75s, my CZ85s, deep grip cut, feel good in the hand. Therefore, I'm inherently accurate. And we're talking about 10 yards shots on a silhouette without thinking, no problem, right? We're not talking about one whole group type stuff. I don't concealed carry or open carry any of my target pistols, for example, right? So that's not what we're talking about. So, my biggest deal is it needs to, and anytime I pick up a new firearm or I'm just looking at one, I'll pick it up in point. I'll pick it up and I will present multiple times. And so one thing I'm looking at is, first of all, how does it feel? How is the grip cut? Is it when you grab that thing without looking at it, right? Does it sort of just fall into your hand in the right place? It puts your trigger finger when your trigger is not indexed, rather. Is it a natural grip that puts your trigger in the proper place, your trigger finger in the proper place on that trigger, be it a flat face, curved face, whatever. I look at, when I present, is it a natural present, right? In other words, you're talking about maybe not a silhouette. That's a little too much for me. But when I present, can I get it easily within the head area of a silhouette? What is that? 8 inches, let's say. 6 to 8 inches. Am I able to present it at any given time? Just grab it blindly, pull it up, present, and have it naturally fall within that particular point and shoot right area. That's real big to me. Bigger concern over things I'm sure we'll get to, which is capacity and caliber. Those are the 2 things. How naturally does it point? How naturally does it feel?
Yep.
And then, of course, obviously, brand with reliability, function, brand, type. Those things play a role too. I mean, high point's out of the question for me anyway. For something like an everyday carry, I'm not knocking a high point. I own them. They're awesome. They're a lot of fun. They'll certainly get the job done. But yeah, I mean, that does come into play somewhat as well.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up the whole caliber capacity, because I think that that's something. Now, caliber, I could sit there and say that is something that I look at. Obviously, I'm a big 9mm fan, but I truly love sharing ammo between carbines, pistols, and all of that. So obviously, I'm going to try to go 9 unless there's just something that tickles my fancy for some reason. But I love what you brought about caliber, saying it's down on the list on capacity. I think it's funny, and we can get into this conversation because you and I have had this conversation on the phone a few days ago, actually. With capacity, and I'm not one of those that carries an extra mag on me. I don't There are times, and you and I both have talked about this. There are times that I might only have 3 or 4 rounds for different reasons why in my carry gun that might be a 15 round capacity mag, and you're the same way. Here's my thing: is if you want to carry a 15 plus 1 and then 2 extra mags on you, hey man, that's you. Yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Yep.
For me, if it gets past, if I have to go much more than 5 rounds, then OK Corral scenario is not fun for me. That's not something I'm looking to be involved in. I'm looking to probably get the hell out of Dodge if it's going to take more than 5 rounds to get something done. That's just me. Hold on here. Gary's coming in. So for me, capacity is way down on the list. I love the fact of the feel. I'm big on feel. I am big on that's the biggest, the big feel and weight are typically the 2 things that I look at, because if it's something that's going to be heavy, then if you that's just one of those things that you have to understand that all day, every day, it's just going to be that weight could, for every ounce on your hip is a pound on your back. Just remember that,
And that's why I said that, sometimes I'll carry other things. I'll get into the CZs, or I may get into a 1911, or, but that's usually an open carry in a special situation, just run into town real quick, or, maybe I've got to, maybe I'm in the woods and I go from there into town for something, or, I'm not wearing that all day, every day. So absolutely 100% agree on the weight issue.
Yeah. Now Rod says he carries an extra mag for possible. I carry extra mags in my vehicle, but not on my person. And I get the whole malfunction, but understand this is the magazines that I have in my carry guns. I've put hundreds, if not thousands of rounds through those mags.
Yeah.
And if they're going to have malfunctions, they would have already had them, and I would have tossed them to the side and gotten another one or whatever. So I get that, and that's a valid reason. I'm just not a big fan. The weight side of it, and just being comfortable and all of that, being on my feet most of the day, it's just not something that I look forward to. Before I bring in Gary, there is a question, because I want to let him answer this as well. Someone up there, I forget, I'm sorry. I see questions roll by. I don't necessarily see who asked them, but someone asked about a metal frame. I think it was maybe Patriot, asked about a steel frame gun for concealed carry. Hey, that's on you. Once again, everyone knows I'm a big fan of polymer frame guns. A lot of the reason why is because of the weight factor for carrying. Do I have some steel frame carry guns? Yes. Do I like to carry them a lot? No. But that's just me. There are some people that will and can and do. I got no problem. I'm never going to tell anyone not to buy a gun if that's what they want. It feels good to them. Typically for me, a steel frame gun is a little bit heavy for me to feel comfortable with being on my feet all day. That's just me. I'm going to bring it to Clover here in a second, but first, we've got our good friend from the Untactical Kansas in Arkansas here. We're the AR Kansas. We're the Tactical Kansas. Kansas is just, it's the crossbow of the Kansases. So now Clover's going to get pissed off if I say crossbow, bringing this into it. But what's going on, Gary? How you doing, man?
Hey, not a whole lot. Thanks for inviting me from the boring flyover state of Kansas, where we enjoy all the gun freedoms. So
that's right. So I want to ask you, first of all, did you get to shoot the TP9?
Haven't had a chance to yet, but
okay. I didn't know if you did this weekend or not. So we're talking about concealed carry and giving kind of some things. When you're looking to add a gun to the rotation, or you're looking to buy a gun for consideration for concealed carry, what are some of the boxes that gun needs to check off for you to make that purchase for carry? We're talking specifically for carry.
Well, it can't be too big because I'm not a real big guy. I can't carry around 1911 inside my waist. For me, that wouldn't work. Weight, you definitely brought up weight. It needs to, now you can't go too light, because if you get something too light, and I've been there, then you've got to deal with too much recoil and stuff like that. So you got to have a good balance between carryability, but yet the gun having enough weight to where you can manage the recoil and keep rounds on target, because in the end, you've got to have confidence that you can take this out, be on target the first time and be on target every time and not worry about it.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that, I mean, I've got a Bodyguard 380. That thing's so small. I use it for pocket carry on some areas where I took a shirt in and I can't conceal carry. I'll throw that in my pocket, but I'm not a big fan of it just because I just don't like the trigger. So it's like a 12-pound trigger. But having a 380 come out of that kind of a barrel, like I said, it's not the most fun thing to shoot. So I'm gonna go back to Clover and say I like that you brought that up, Gary. The shootability of a gun. I know you talk comfort and all that of holding it, but what about the comfort of shooting it? Does that play a role into your decision at all? Clover might be step aside. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it beats you to death, that's not any good. Or if you get slide by it every time it fires or something. I mean, that's one of the issues I have, quite honestly. Not opposed, people do it all the time, but I've got an old school SIG P230. I've got some Makarovs, the Bursas. A lot of the Bursas are even that way because it's that style of a little handgun. You got to be real careful with those because they don't have like an extended cut beaver tail or nothing like that. And if you're not gripped right, they're going to bite you.
And it's going to hurt.
Yeah, they're going to bite you. So, for a carry gun and having to draw out of a holster really quick and make sure that grip is the way it needs to be not to get bit. And, of course, getting bit is a lot easier than getting mowed down in some kind of a, whatever incident, I suppose. But yeah, it's just that's not conducive. So, I mean, yeah, that definitely plays a role, but that also gets back into caliber a little bit. Why go more caliber than you think you need? And you're talking to somebody that technically I started carrying with 38 special. And then very, very shortly after that moved into 45 ACP. Why? Because I mean, bigger is better and knockdown power and 1-2 world wars and blah, 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 and all the bull you hear, right? And then a couple of carry guns later, it was like, screw this, 380 gets it done, man. And I've been pretty much 380 ever since. And still got a 38 special in the rotation, but not 357, 38 special in the rotation. So, yeah, just not, I want something that's going to be, it's comfortable to shoot. Therefore, I'm going to train with it more. Therefore, I'm going to be comfortable and confident with it. But if you got something that beats you to death, how often are you going to take that sucker out on the range and train, right? If you got a 2-inch or a 3-inch or a 4-inch 44 Magnum, let's say, right? It's like, really? I mean, you're gonna go run, and how expensive the ammo is for that too plays a role. But really, are you going to run 50 rounds a month through your 44 Magnum? I doubt it very seriously.
Yeah. Now, Sandy out there, I'm interested. He says, I love the way the PPQ fit my hand, loved everything about it until I shot it. Feeling good in the gun store doesn't always mean. So I'm not dogging you, Sandy, at all. You're literally the first person I've ever met, not saying it doesn't love it, but has actually said it didn't feel good when you shot it. So if you're out there, first of all, if you want to jump in, I'd love to get you for a quick moment. If you're available, then let me know, and I'll send you the link. If nothing else, let me know what didn't feel good about it, because not from my personal experience, but I've never heard anyone say they didn't like the way it felt when it shot. Not saying it was the best ever, but always said, man, it feels so good. I've never heard anyone say it felt bad. So I'd be interested to hear what goes on. So I want to go back to Gizzard real quick and say, we were talking out there about steel framed guns for carry. I'm going to ghost you. First, do you have any guns that you carry that are steel framed? And two, what are your opinions on steel frame guns for carry?
I don't have any. I mean, I do own some, but as far as carrying them, for one thing, one of them is my CHP pistol, and while it's a beautiful gun and it might make a great barbecue gun or something like that, from a practicality standpoint, it's really, really heavy. that would weigh me down pretty quick. And so from an everyday standpoint, no, I wouldn't carry it. And like I said, the 1911 is about the same kind of deal. I love the way it looks. I even love the way it feels in my hand. But one thing, I don't shoot it that well. Secondly, it's just not me. And I have smaller ones like the Taurus. What is that? The PT-22. It's too small. Way too hard a trigger to pull in a situation where I need to get a shot off and stuff like that. So, I mean, there might be the perfect gun out there. I don't own it. Obviously, there's a lot of guns I haven't owned, never shot, so I can't say never, never, but nothing I have so far would fill that bill that's all metal.
Absolutely. Interesting. We were talking about 1911s, is I like 1911s. I like the triggers in them. I'm not a huge fan for 1911s, not because I don't like the guns. It's most of my guns that I'm going after are going to fit a purpose, and I like to be able to think that I can be able to carry them. That's just how I am about guns. I like, when it comes to handguns, the carry ability about them is something that is probably atop the list. I'm a small guy. 1911 for me, I don't like carrying outside the waist unless I'm going to open carry, but I don't do open carry very often. Very rarely do I open carry. So the prospect for me to carry a 1911 inside the waist is not good because they're just big. They're uncomfortable. Now, get me a 3.5 inch 1911. Like I've got one coming in 9mm. Now that's something I'm really, really looking forward to, because for the first time, there's an option out there for me to think about a 1911 as a carry gun, because it's going to be a smaller frame, smaller barrel, and it's going to be 9mm. Because I don't think I'd want to shoot a 45 and a 3.5 inch barrel. Just saying, that's just me.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, that's just not something I'm looking for. On a 3.5 inch barrel, I'm going to go, like I said, I'm 9mm. Not saying I'm 9mm centric, but I'm close to it. But that's just me. So we brought Sandy in here, and Sandhill Shooter. Go check him out as well. He's got a podcast coming up in about an hour, so I'm not going to keep you long. And if you want to stick around till then, we'd love to have you join this conversation. But mostly for the PPQ, I'm just interested because I would love to hear like your thoughts on the PPQ now.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to make it sound like it was bad. I didn't mean to make it sound like it hurt or anything. But what happened is I fell in love with that gun, and we actually bought that for my wife. And I mean, I just fell in love with the way the trigger feels. I fell in love with the way the grip feels, the contours of it. Everything about that gun was perfect. We took it out to the range, and it's just the way it's a little bit top heavy compared to a Glock 19. There's more muzzle flip. And that coupled with the fact that grip, it's contoured well, but there's little to no traction on it. And even to be able to control that and keep it from jumping around in my hand, we had to put some Talon grips on it just to tame that down, that muzzle flip a little bit. I'm not saying that more experienced shooters can't get along great with it, and I'm sure not knocking that gun at all. It's just we ended up selling that to somebody because neither one of us was going to shoot it.
What caliber are we talking?
Yeah, I was going to say, what caliber, and what was it? The subcompact? Was it full size? Which model of it?
It was the normal plain PPQ M2 9mm 4-inch barrel plastic frame. But yeah, it just wasn't what either one of us wanted. So, I mean, that's why, thank goodness, there's so many different gun makers out there building different things. But yeah, it just, I mean, I'm one of the few that, I love the gun, and I really wanted to love it more.
Yeah,
but I didn't.
And that's the only reason why I because I've never heard anyone say that they didn't at least like, and like I said, the context of your statement wasn't there to where I understood. Not saying I hate it, but yeah, it was definitely something that I hadn't heard before, saying I loved it till I shot. I was like, whoa.
Are we
really?
Was it new or used?
Brand new.
Okay, so you had all the different interchangeable back straps, and you played around with all that.
Yeah. It wasn't a matter of, yeah, I mean, there's nothing, like I said, it wasn't anything that Walther did wrong with it. It's just for my hand and her hand both, it wasn't the best fit like I thought it would be.
Yep. There and see, that's the great thing about it is different guns. I don't like SIG, not because I don't think they're a great company or I don't think they make great guns. SIGs,
well,
historically don't fit my hand well.
And you don't like the deep cut of a CZ, and that's like the sexiest grip cut ever on a pistol, dude. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I get it. I get why you don't get it. I wish I could love some of that. It's just when it comes down to, like I said, and it's just like what you said. Very first thing is when you pick up that gun right away for the first time, you've made your mind up. Does this feel good to me or not? And for some reason, they just don't feel good. And I think they're wonderful guns. Would I tell anyone not to? No, but for some, it just I don't know what it is. What's up, Michael? From Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. How was a camping trip, bud?
It was restorative. It was wonderful. Good. To my soul, anyway. My body, I'm kind of stiff and sore, but for my soul, it was exactly what I needed.
Yep.
I tried to, I spent the night in a kind of a emergency type shelter situation. I wanted to go out and kind of use the stuff that I'm going to have my students use, and I spent the night sleeping on top of a couple ginormous 55-gallon contractor bags stuffed with leaves, as insulation. And they were warm as hell. I mean, as a matter of fact, inside my little shelter, I was sweating. But my God, they were hard as concrete.
Yeah.
Kept me warm, though.
That wouldn't be good for my back, probably.
No, it was not good for my back, but it was good for the soul, I can tell you that.
Well, I'm going to bring you and I'm bring Sandy, if Sandy wants to stick around for a little bit, into this conversation. But I think Clover had one more follow-up on the previous discussion.
Well, no, it I don't know. It may throw a monkey wrench in it because it was more about extending the conversation. But, you talked about, the ones you don't like. Sandy talked about, wasn't really anything wrong, but he didn't like. I've talked about the same thing. And so what I've got to wonder is, should we even be talking to new gun owners about what's best for them? Because we have so many misconceptions based on our experiences and what we like and don't like, that who knows what they're going to like.
The answer is yes. And that was going to be part of the next conversation. It's this, because this is what I'm talking about when people are in these Facebook groups and they're giving advice and they'll say, this is trash. That gun sucks. This is that. Don't trust this. That ammo sucks, or that caliber sucks. That's their opinion. Unfortunately, what they're doing is they're passing it on as their expert opinion and facts. And to a new gun owner, they may not understand that dude just may not like that gun. So I think we do have the responsibility to say that with the preface of, hey, this is my opinion. I don't like this gun because A, B, C, X, Y, Z. But I don't, and no one in this room that I know do this, but there are people that will say, this gun is trash. Stay away from it. That's where it gets dangerous, because that gun may not be trash. It just may not be your cup of tea. So I do think that we should be having this discussion, but we all need to remember how to phrase things, especially to someone that's asking a legitimate question, and get out of the mindset of I am Tarzan, and I want to give you my opinion and screw anyone that doesn't agree with me. It's look, hey bro, you're asking me about this SIG P365. I think it's a wonderful firearm. SIG has a long tradition of being a great manufacturer. I personally don't like the way it feels to me, so I'm not going to buy it, but maybe you'll like it. Make sure you go try it out before you buy it. I think that's how you answer it, instead of saying that gun's trash. I hate that gun.
I think a lot of people, right? and this is regardless of what we're talking about, and new firearm owners, quote unquote, are no different than new washing machine owners or car owners or whatever else they may have bought in their lives, right? So they're used to those definitive statements by the pricks out there, let's be honest, that go, well, this is trash, period, end of sentence. Or I don't like this, period, end of sentence. And they give no explanation. And I got to think that the vast majority of new people, no matter what you're talking about, whether you're talking about buying a new car or whatever it is, tend to ignore those folks. I got to think at the end of the day, that's really the way that it goes.
Absolutely. Sandy, I saw you on mute. You got something? Go for it.
I've actually got two different answers to the
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
Question that Clover asked there, should we even be talking to new people? First one kind of echoes what you said. Yeah, we definitely need to be talking to new people, because who else is going to talk to them other than the people that are saying, hey, do this. I know what I'm talking about. You shouldn't even ask anybody else. Well, we want other voices, right, to talk to those people as well. So, but what I like to say is, hey, this is why I didn't like it. And it's just my opinion, so when we are talking to new gun owners, we need to stress that whether or not we fancy ourselves an expert, we're not the only expert. And guns are like shoes, right? I mean, we tell everybody if anybody asks what specific gun should they buy, I always ask them, well, what specific shoe should I buy? Then they kind of look at me like a deer in the headlights, right? So we've got that. The other thing that kind of needs to be said, though, too, is, if somebody's a new gun owner or looking at buying their first gun, they don't even understand if I talk about, one's top heavy, there's more muzzle flip, it jumps in the hand or something like that. I mean, chances are that's all kind of concepts that's going to be foreign to them, right? And so really, I mean, so you got to take that first step somewhere. You've got to buy that first gun, whatever it is. Maybe down the road you'll gain more experience and you'll find out that, hey, there's other things that I like better. Maybe it'll be like me. My first gun was the Glock 19, and it's the gun that I judge everything against at this point. And nothing's ever taken its place in my heart and in my lineup for carry, because nothing's ever done better what it does. But they've got to take that first step and go buy the gun, whether it's a piece of junk, but it's all they can afford, and it's the high point or whatever, or which is not a piece of junk, but it's affordable.
No, I understand exactly.
Right, or they can go out and buy a $1,500 Sig Legion or whatever it is. I mean, but they've got to get out there somewhere and get into it, and that's the only way they're going to learn what they like and what they don't like. But again, with that is learning not only about the guns, but learn about the people that talk about them.
Absolutely.
And with that, I'm a bail. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. All right, guys, make sure you go check out Sandy. You having a show tonight at top of the hour?
We are 9:00 Central Time. We're going to talk about, and I'd love to have everybody's opinions on this topic too. We're going to talk about mandatory training for firearms owners. Should it be?
I love that conversation.
Should yeah. So we're going to see if we can dig in and
I can piss some people off in this discussion.
Well, I mean, if you guys get wound up on yours in time, come and piss people off in mine.
You got it, bud.
You're always welcome. All right, later, guys.
Peace. All right, so yes, I saw that, Clover, and I'm assuming this is what you're talking about. This right here.
Yeah.
Well, Elder says fully trained combat vets are one of the best resources. I'm going to say I need some more context to that. I need some more information as to what exactly, because I could either agree or completely disagree depending on where you're going with that. So
I think I could disagree pretty much across the board.
The only thing that I would sit there and say is a fully trained combat is a great resource for tactics, small team movements and tactics, communications, nonverbal communications. There are certain things that I would say that are great at. When it comes to firearms themselves, understand that what we had in the military is not what we have out here typically.
Right.
So yeah, when it comes to small team tactics and nonverbal communications and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mindset.
Mindset. Yeah. The big picture, mission first and team first, that kind of stuff. I can see where you could think that. but I want to see what he has to say. Training new gun people is what he's saying.
No.
I'm going to say this. There are some phenomenal trainers that have military experience. There are also some wonderful instructors that have never served a day in their life. So when it comes to teaching new gun owners, the firearm handling and tactics and all that is a very, 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 in my opinion, small piece of training new gun owners. What the biggest part of training new gun owners is communication. Can that person teach safe, proper mechanics and skills in a way that that individual student can understand? Here's a problem. A lot of military people cannot communicate well with civilians. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you know if you don't know how to teach.
That's right.
And that's what it comes down to. Number one, the communication thing is absolutely critical when you're teaching, because the entire purpose of teaching is to communicate an idea and make sure that the person that you're teaching gets what you're saying and understands it and internalizes it. That's what teaching is. So you might be the tier 1 Delta operator. If you can't teach a civilian how to carry a gun in a civilian context, civilian context, because you have, that's the second piece, is the civilian context, because the military context completely different from the civilian context. Just like, with my background coming from a use of force in a corrections context, completely different from use of force in a civilian on the street context. So it's not an apples to apples thing. Number two, a lot of soldiers, military folks, aren't gun people. Regardless of whether or not they tote a rifle every day and have had to use it in defense of their life or in furtherance of the mission, they might not be a gun person. So just simply saying that someone is a trained combat vet doesn't necessarily mean they'd be a good teacher for a civilian, with respect.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Let's see here. Steven out there says, definitely talk to new people. As a new gun guy, appreciate the different opinions. Just explain the goods and bads like you are tonight. And that's what he's talking about. The community of Clover's question is, should we be talking about this and all that? So I appreciate that. Yeah. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to state that this is our opinion, and don't make anything to say, don't go buy this, don't do this, because we don't like it. So yeah, let's move on. Clover, since you brought this up in the back chat, do you have anything to add or to bring upon?
No, I mean, it was pertinent to the conversation that, there's a reason there's been a saying for a long time. Those who can't do or cannot do, teach. There's a reason for that. Is some people, they're not cut out to do it, whether they don't have enough practice or, in application practice, right? Or they don't have the ability or skill level, which most of the time is brought upon by that application.
There is natural ability, absolutely.
And then there's definitely God-given, whatever you want to call it, natural ability involved in that. Yes, absolutely. I use the adage all the time. As certified shotgun sports instructor, have taught many kids that do very, very well. I know how to do it, what to do. I know the mechanics. I know the ins and outs of sporting clays and trap and all of that other stuff. I know your positioning and the leads and what you do here and there and blah, blah, blah. Am I a good shotgunner? Nope.
Right.
I enjoy it, but I'm nowhere near good. But absolutely, I can teach it.
No doubt. TPC says most gun owners these days aren't gun people. I wouldn't say most, but I think that there's an ever-growing number that are gun owners that I think they're gun people, but they may not be into the gun lifestyle.
They're not into the gun culture, and they're certainly not 2A, not 2A. Right? Yeah.
So I would say that's 100% right. I would say that most of the, especially the newer ones, probably aren't 2A aware at all.
Here's my question with that, though.
Okay.
How many of those people are unaware there's a bigger, broader community and how awesome the community is? In other words, they've made the decision to go out and purchase a firearm for home defense, to keep in the nightstand, to whatever. And they may go to the range every now and then, but they haven't been approached to say, hey, man, have you thought about this competition? Hey, have you thought about this turkey shoot? Hey, have you thought about this or that? Or you know what I'm saying? And actually being a broader part of the community that maybe they haven't been, nobody's just reached out to them and welcomed them in, right? And if somebody did, and they knew that a broader, larger community existed, would that potentially sway them more to be a part of the actual gun culture? And then subsequently, as they move down that line, become more aware of 2A and become more of an advocate and an activist. So kind of moving that pendulum. Makes you wonder.
It does. I want to bring Mike back in and kind of do what I do with Gary, since you kind of join in here. Backtrack a little bit and just kind of get your opinion. When you're looking at a gun, but that gun is specifically going to be utilized as a carry gun, are there certain criteria that gun's going to have to meet before you make that jump into buying that gun for carry?
I like to have something. This is generally speaking. Now,
Sure.
Let me caveat this by saying that, guns are like golf clubs. There's a gun for
Everyone.
For different purposes, for different specific tasks. Okay. But generally speaking, as an all-around carry gun, I'll look for something that doesn't have any sharp edges on it. Number one. Okay. I'll look for something that is large enough that it has a decent magazine capacity, yet small enough that it can be concealed on my big ass, which, generally speaking, isn't too difficult to find. I try to find something that's a polymer frame because I love to shoot steel guns. Absolutely love to shoot steel guns. Hate to carry them because they have a tendency to drag my belt down off my ass, even when I'm carrying a nice, wonderful, awesome belt. So, I tend to look for something in the Glock 19-ish or maybe a little bit smaller size. More often than not, what I carry is my Ruger EC9S, even though it doesn't quite have the magazine capacity I'm looking for. It's thin enough to carry without having to worry about printing. It's big enough for me to shoot comfortably. It's rounded in all the right places. It's about, I'd say,
you said round in all the right places.
That's right. It's rounded in all the right places. Although lately I've been carrying my Glock 48 because it has that thinness factor, yet it's got a 10-round magazine, and I really like that. Plus, the light laser combo is a big plus for me. But going back to something I posted in the chat earlier, when I don't feel like carrying a gun, I carry a little Taurus 380. 380 is what I carry when I don't feel like carrying a gun. So,
boom,
in fact, I'm carrying that right now.
There you go, Clover. He just shot. He sent a shot across the bow.
Oh, straight across.
Straight across. No, it's not even across the bow. It's in the freaking boat.
You know what's funny is I was doing something at that particular moment, and I didn't even hear what he said. So
he said he carries 380 when he doesn't want to feel like he's carrying a gun.
Okay, whatever.
I can relate to that.
I'm carrying my 380 right now. Just saying, though.
I will invite anybody to come down and try to jump me in the Walmart parking lot any night they so choose.
Oh no, I'm with you, Clover. I am with today's modern 380 ammunition. It's not an issue like it used to be.
If you hate 380 that much, if you're that adamant 380 won't get it done, then I invite anybody to try to take it away from me, baby. Just bring it out.
Or I would love to. So the reason why this even started, Mike, is you probably missed the beginning, in a Facebook group. that I'm on, a person asked, you can only imagine, the person asked, looking at some 380s and some 9, which one should I get? And here comes Tarzan. 380 is worthless. It won't even penetrate it won't even penetrate a hoodie or a puffy jacket. I said,
did you respond with, are you volunteering to be shot?
I literally responded. I called, first of all, I called Clover immediately. I said, oh my God, this is what we're fighting every day right here, is this guy right here. But I said, tell you what, let me know when you make your video of standing in front at 21 feet of a 380 and you put it on YouTube, because I want to see it. If you're not worried about it. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go and get my little mannequin here, and I'm going to put a t-shirt, a hoodie and a jacket on, and at 21 feet, and put a target underneath everything and see where the hole penetrates that target. But I'm just like, that's why this whole thing came about, is you have people out there that are saying it won't penetrate a hoodie. Are you outside your mind? So that's where this whole thing came from. Now Calaveras is going to have a stroke out there if I don't bring up this comment he's put out there.
You know what? He can go eat a pickle, a California pickle.
That's right. But he did. And he did say here, he brought it to me and then he brought it to you because he thought that I was ignoring him apparently. But he said, I heard a gun store employee say a carry gun should only have enough power to break ribs if someone's wearing armor, just in case the attacker has armor.
Okay.
Then
Well,
that
because
dude,
I'm always on the lookout for people that are trying to rob me with armor.
yeah, that dude should not be in a gun store, or put him in the back and don't allow him to talk to customers.
So there's a misconception that we got to deal with, right? And I'm going to use a lot of air quotes here, obviously. But what is the most attractive news stories, blah, 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 mass shootings, right? Mass shooters.
Mass shooters.
Well, that's why I said I'm using air quotes, because I'm using their words and stuff. And so the dudes, remember the guys that robbed the bank in California and they had all the body armor? Man, wasn't that sexy, right?
Yep,
and look at these scary, and those are such outliers and anomaly. The gangbanger dude wearing a wife beater, right, with probably an airsoft or a BB gun, is most likely who's going to pull on you or attempt something.
And probably unloaded at that.
As small as the odds are, even for that to happen with most people. And we had this conversation privately, you and I, when we talk about the odds of even being in an encounter. A lot of that depends on your level of situational awareness, depends on how you actively try to avoid certain situations, right? And for some people, I get it. And I'm not going to make a blanket statement and say all people have that luxury, because there's some people that can keep their head on the swivel 99.9% of the time, but they live in such a horrible place or whatever that the odds are still high. I get it. And I feel for you, in that situation. But, all of that stuff matters. And the odds you're going to come up against somebody with, trying to do you harm that's wearing any kind of body armor. It's like, come on, really? Really?
Yeah. So interesting. You brought up a couple words there. In a different group, it's an everyday carry type group and all that. And they're always putting in, like I said, a lot of times they're lately a lot of knife conversations. Hey, what's a good knife for EDC? Everyone, I'm thinking about adding a knife to, and I've got my gun and I've got my light. I'm thinking about adding a knife and all that. And so a lot of knife stuff going on and all that. And so I love that. But here's the funny thing. So a question was asked maybe a month ago or something like that. It was a while ago, but it was this year sometime. Said, what's the most important part of your everyday carry stash or whatever? And everyone's going through, oh, my gun or my light, my knife. And I said, my situational awareness. And dude, people were fucking hating on it. Like, oh, I was like, shut up. If you say anything besides situational, that's the most important part of your EDC loadout. Is if you're not aware of what's going on, it doesn't matter what you're carrying. It does. If
what's between your ears doesn't work, it doesn't matter what you have in your pockets.
Yep. And oh my gosh, just you can overcome it. No, you can't. If you are not aware of what's going on at all times, then you're not going to have a chance to pull that gun or knife.
Not a one.
It's just one of those things. And I'll give an example. Not that I feel threatened at all. This is 2 or 3 years ago at SHOT Show on a Monday night. Clover and I and Jeff and Dustin, we all went to this pre-SHOT Show party after range day at this bar. I think it was a bar. Anyways, we get there early. We're there about 10, 15 minutes before anyone else starts showing up. So we're outside having a smoke in the parking lot of this bar, sketchy part of Vegas, which they're all sketchy outside of the strip. So let's be real. But we're just out there in the parking lot, and we're right next to this gas station.
The Tiki Bar. Yeah.
The Tiki Bar. That's what it was. But it was right next to this gas station. We're just out there having a smoke and all that. And I see this guy walking towards us that's about 50 yards away, but we're the only ones there. So he's obviously walking towards us. At this point, I don't have a gun, and Clover doesn't have a gun because we're in Vegas.
I gotta have my hand on my knife in my pocket though.
So here's the thing. Once again, we're out there smoking, and my hand is already in my pocket with the knife. I don't bring it out and show them because I don't want it, but it's right there. And all I got to do is it's an auto knife, so it's ready to go. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things where we're sitting there having a conversation smoking, but I'm watching what's going on over here. I'm looking through the window in the car to see what's going on behind me. Call me paranoid, call me whatever the hell you want to call me. But I see a guy coming from 50 yards away. My hand goes directly into my pocket. Clover's hand goes into his pocket. The guy ends up talking about,
well, we were also 180. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
We were watching each other back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's something that I always do is we've got everything. We've got 360 degrees covered between the two of us, but both hands were in the knife. And I said, hey, someone's coming over. What do? You kind of shift a little bit to where now he's in your peripheral, and we have no problem. We have a conversation. The guy's a cool dude. We talk for 5 or 10 minutes. He's funny as hell, talking about music and all that. But 50 yards away, before he even had a chance to realize that he was coming over towards us, you take 2 steps in my direction, and I'm the only one in that direction. Guess what? I'm already prepared. So I was ready. If he got within 3 or 4 feet of me, that knife's coming out. I'm sorry. It didn't play. But once again, situational awareness. If you're not aware of what's going on, then you're putting yourself in a position to be hurt.
Well, and then, another thing is, I think that the attitude and everything that you have, the competence that you portray, I think plays a role too. So, who knows? Maybe he was coming over there. Maybe he was coming over there to scout out the situation, right?
He probably was.
And when he found out we weren't shy, we weren't timid. What the fuck's going on, dude? Blah, blah, blah. Talk about the music,
Right.
Whatever, right? We weren't intimidated by him. We weren't scared by him. He didn't have any advantage.
No.
And
no.
who knows what his intentions were? We still don't really know that when he walked over there. Maybe he just walked over there to see why 4 people were hanging around
in an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
Like 8 o'clock at night on a Monday.
He probably thought we had something to smoke or shoot up or something. Probably.
We could have been there for a drug deal for all he knew. I don't know. Like I said, you don't know. We have no idea what his intentions were, but he was on the radar 50 yards away. I didn't wait till he got 10 yards away before he popped on my radar. He took 2 steps, and I saw that kind of walking. When he turned to face us, I think I said, hey, there's a guy coming over here. Remember that? I mean, it was immediate. He was still at the pump of the gas station. But I was like, there's a guy coming over here. And at that point, he's on my radar. I'm not going to look at the guide and show him, hey, I see you coming. But I want to know exactly where that guy is until he gets in his car and drives away. He might not have come all the way to us. He might have stopped halfway and gone back. But that guy, I'm going to know everywhere he is until he is gone. That's just how my mind works. And that's just what it is. But now Calaveras is talking some smack out there. It's like he's a fucking giant out there. So whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm taller than he is. But no, the whole idea of situational awareness is huge. So we were going an hour and a half. We're going to start not sweeping up. I've got one more kind of question that I want to talk about. And here's the thing. I'm going to start with Gary. is this. Aside from, hey, make sure you get out there and pull the trigger yourself on guns before you try. If you're talking to someone who's deciding whether a new gun owner or a current gun owner, but they're looking to, for the first time, get into the concealed carry game, okay? Does caliber, does capacity, we talk about these, we're going to talk about this caliber and capacity. What do they mean to you and your criteria? Because I think that Mike was the first one that brought up capacity as being one of his criteria, and all of that. But as far as capacity and criteria, where do those fall in your rankings, Gary?
Well, that's an interesting question, because for the better part of my life carrying guns, I've carried 380s with basically a 6+1. So I did move up. I moved up in caliber from 380 to 9mm and in capacity. And just because nowadays you can, I mean, the amount of guns out there that have a 10+1 capacity and, that can carry the 9mm and still be small and carryable, they weren't there 5 years ago, and they are there now. So it presented itself, and I took advantage of it, found a gun that worked for me, and now I carry it. Does that mean that what I carried before was wrong? No, absolutely not. And I still carry that original first gun I ever bought, that Taurus TCP, kind of like Budget says, when it's a hot summertime, you're wearing the athletic shorts and you've got to go somewhere and you really ought to have a gun on you. You go get that small, tiny, lightweight gun, you put it in your pocket and you go. And you're still good as far as I'm concerned. Yes, you could be better, but you're still good.
Absolutely. Real quick, we got Crumpy has jumped in with a $5 super chat. Thanks, Crump. Once again, we're not asking for anything, but for all super chats, they always go to sending care packages to our troops downrange and overseas. So thanks for the $5. That will go to a care package. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bring Mike in. And you were talking earlier about some of the criteria that you were looking for and all of that. But I noticed that you were showing a knife. It's funny because when people start talking about carry items, the knife, now recently it's becoming a little bit more popular because of different things. But when you're looking at a carry knife, what kind of knife? I mean, are you looking for a fighting knife? Are you looking for a knife that you can carry that can do multiple things with hunting, fishing, chopping? I mean, when you talk about a carry knife, like when I carry a knife, I carry a fighting knife, a karambit. Okay. So, but a lot of people don't look for fighting knives. They're just looking for a basic knife that can be multi-purposed, for instance. What kind of knife are you looking at when you carry? Do you carry different types of knives depending on where you're going or what?
Yes, I carry different types of knives depending upon where I'm going, what I'm doing, what area I'm going to be in. What I carry hunting is different from what I carry camping, is different from what I carry generally in my pocket. It depends. Just as I said earlier about there being a different gun for a different situation, knives are like that as well. Yeah. In the wonderful state of Ohio, until April 12th, I don't carry a fighting knife because a knife is nothing more than a tool. And even after April 12th, I don't carry a fighting knife. One specifically as a weapon. I will carry one as a tool because in Ohio, legally speaking, if it's anything other than a tool, it's a weapon and you can go to jail for it. Particularly since we have a crazy patchwork quilt of knife laws in Ohio, there is not knife preemption, which there are organizations fighting for here in the Buckeye State. And hopefully we can get that taken care of. But yes, I carry tools. What I look for, I tend to, if it's a fold or something this size that I can operate one-handed, I like fine edges, not serrated edges, but whatever. It's got to have a nice sharp stabbity point if I need to bore a hole in something, because obviously it's not a weapon to stab anybody with, right? So yeah, just I don't know. I look for something that's large enough to get the job done of any anticipated job, yet small enough to carry and conceal, and light enough to carry. I like stuff like titanium handles and whatnot. One that I just got recently has a titanium handle and a D2 steel blade. So just, I don't know. I'm kind of a knife geek. I can go on about this subject for a while.
I love knives. I'm not a huge knife connoisseur. I've got a bunch of knives, but I'm not that kind of a guy. I love knives, and I got into knives 7-8 years ago. Really I love them. Watching Forged in Fire, I love watching blades being made. I was like, oh snap, And then you start seeing these different type of blades are making. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
I got to tell you, if I could get away with carrying a sword, I would.
I'd carry katana if I had one.
I got one of those coming. I'll tell you about that later.
So do I.
Awesome.
Yeah. But anyways, I tend to forget because when I talk about people about knives, I tend to forget. In Arkansas, the law on blades in Arkansas is if it's a blade, it's legal. Doesn't matter. Auto blades, doesn't matter the length. I can literally walk down with my Marine NCO sword and a katana and a machete, and I would be at the same time, and I would be perfectly legal. Not a problem.
Most places in Ohio, I could walk around open carrying it.
Yeah.
But anything concealed in Ohio, is a no-no.
Yeah. So when I talk to you about blades and all that, I tend to forget sometimes that not every state is as nice with them as we are here. So, right. Gary, I know that you've shown pictures of some knives coming up. Is there a specific type of knife that you like to carry on a regular basis, or do you rotate them? You are muted somehow. It doesn't say you're muted. But
sorry about that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I saw your lips like maybe he's not muted. I don't know, but yeah.
No, what I said about this big one is I said that's a bit big to carry every day. What I carry every day is this Benchmade. Okay. It's not huge by any means, but for somebody with slightly arthritic hands, having an assisted opener is pretty handy. This is very nice, sharp. I find that for everything I need a knife for, and you'd be surprised how often a day you can really use a knife for something. And it's nice and sharp and always does the job, and it's easy to carry. So for me, it's a good investment, and I like carrying it. So
absolutely. Clover, what about you? Do you kind of change out different knives on where you're going, or do you kind of have a knife blade kind of a style that you like over anything else?
I just carry the lid off a can of Vienna sausages. That's normally. I know that's inside for those that don't follow the Ghost Tactical channel and watch the videos regularly. There you go. You'll have to watch to figure that one out. There you go.
Check out the video from yesterday.
Do I have rephrase the question because I was just waiting to pull that
so
one.
Like I know you carry a knife, but do you have a rotation or do you carry one kind of specific knife all the time?
Dude, I got knives all over the place.
Yeah, I've got like 5 of them just right here.
Yeah, and I typically just wherever I grab whatever and throw it in my pocket or clip it out in the morning. It doesn't matter. Now, do I have some I prefer over others? Sure, I've got that knockoff SOG stiletto. And there's just something about a stiletto blade. I love that thing, man. It's like gangster. It's thin and it's long. And you talk about if you needed to get up in under ribs and stuff and get somebody, I mean, it'd be great for something like that. And it makes an awesome letter opener and box opener as well. So double duty there. So it's one of my favorites, even though it's a eBay knockoff China SOG knife. And then I've got several that I don't hardly carry anymore because they're nice, and I tend to lose knives. It's like a expensive pair of sunglasses almost in a way. Right. For me, knives are, and inevitably I end up finding them. Thank goodness, but sometimes it's years later that I find them in a box or this, that, and the other. That happens with guns too, by the way. But no, it.
Or you just leave them out in the snow. Just saying.
Or I leave them out in the snow. Exactly. So, but. yeah, I mean, I've always got, and I have since, back in the day when I went to school, we could have pocket knives. So,
Same here.
I
Yep.
don't. I mean, I'm sure I was itty bitty. I mean, I'm sure in elementary school, well, maybe even in elementary school with Cub Scouts and all of that, even had a knife. Probably not in kindergarten or crap like that, but yeah, forever now. I can't remember when I never really had access to a knife. It's just silly not to. I mean, what was it Gary said? Everybody said. I mean, let's face it, it's a tool, man, and
that's right.
And even women. I mean,
possibly the first tool.
Men, women, doesn't matter. I mean, you should have a knife in your pocket. It could help with so many different things.
I remember my first knife that was mine. I was in Cub Scouts back in the day. I was probably like 5, whatever, 4 or 5. And I don't remember much about the camping trip. I remember it being fun, but my dad, before going on the camping trip, my dad bought me this little pocket knife and put my initials on it and taught me how to whittle. And because that was going to be something we were going to do, and he wanted me to go on the camping trip with the Cub Scouts already knowing how to do a little bit of whittling. So he taught me how to whittle a stick and all of that. And I remember I was probably 4 or 5 when I got my first knife. And it's one of those things now. Now I love different blades. I'm looking to get into more of the machete type, that 12 to 18 inch kind of a machete. There's a blade that I'm really loving right now. It's called the Dow DAO. I think those are just sexy as hell. And I can find one like 12, 18 inches. I would love to find a really good, I'd spend some money on them because those things are just awesome to put in the truck. And talking about being able to go anywhere and take care of whatever you needed, knocking down trees, whatever, that thing looks awesome. So I love these. Yeah.
If you're as old as I'm going to say we are, because we're close enough that we remember what I'm going to talk about.
Except for Gary, he's old as shit.
These young kids nowadays have no clue the troubles and the strifes. Do you guys remember the packaging on CDs and subsequently cassette tapes that you had to try to get through when you bought one of those? Oh my God. You had to carry a knife with you. There was no other way to get into that crap. Maybe a hacksaw, but of course a knife's a little easier to carry than a hacksaw. But my God, don't buy any VHS tapes, CDs, cassette tapes, anything back in the day, because you had to saw through the packaging. It was horrible.
Well, okay, so even with a knife, the cassette tapes and CDs were still not fun. The VCR tapes were better because you could find the little crease in the bottom where the tape comes in and out and slides your knife along that, and it would cut through. But the CDs, I'm still going, I really don't want to scratch the CD case.
Well, the CDs also had that plastic frame, though. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. And it's like you had to cut through the frame. So you had to get the knife, like the real thin part across like the width. You could get your knife, you could slide it sideways, and it would go in between the case, and then you would be able to turn it and tweak it just a little bit. And then if you pulled back just right, it would slice it open. But how many times did you crack the CD case or the tape case?
That's why every time I got a CD out of the case, I had a big old book of like soft pages that you put in like a CD, a carry case, whatever.
Yeah.
The sheets. So I would take it out of the plastic and I'd put it in those because that piece of plastic was going to be destroyed by the time I got it open. So yes, absolutely. Right. Someone's talking about little Dire Straits out there. Sultans of Swing are great. My favorite Dire Straits, I'm a big Dire Straits fan, but a lot of people may not have heard of it if you're not like a big fan. Just, people heard of Sultans of Swing and they want and all that. But if you've never heard Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits, it's one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. Go out and YouTube Brothers in Arms for Dire Straits. Oh, amazing. That's my favorite. I love Sultans of Swing. I love that song, but Brothers in Arms by far is my favorite Dire Straits. Anyways, Steven says, I see your dire straits and raise you some ZZ Top. No, don't get me started on some ZZ Top. You get me. Oh man. If you're from Texas and you don't like ZZ Top, something's wrong with you.
Yep. It's Texas town. Little shack outside the green.
There is a great ZZ Top documentary. I think it's on Netflix or something. And it's wonderful. If you're a ZZ Top fan, go check it out. It's great. Frank Beard is hilarious, and he's kind of the forgotten one, but he was the only one that didn't have a beard, but his last name was Beard. Go figure. So yeah.
DJ says they could have opened it for you. I did retail records, tape, CDs. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Walmart back in the day wouldn't open it for you.
Yeah.
And there was a chain here called Discount City. And there was another chain called Gibson's, and none of those would open it for you. Now, if you went to like the Sam Goody or the Hastings or the different places in the mall, they would. But yeah, the big box stores or the
big box would not. They didn't care. But I always went. There was a record store there in Dallas, and being in Plano, there was a place called Bill's. And Bill's is where I always bought everything, and they would like, you want to sell the record? Hell yes. They would take it all for you and all that. But Bill's was the place that I always went to. And it was a great record store. Damn. Okay. We're coming up here. I actually got to be somewhere in about 45 minutes, which is crazy. I know it's late, but so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the room. We'll start with Mike real quick and say, okay, we've all heard of all this. What's the one piece of advice that you would give someone who's looking for a new carry gun?
Try as many as you can before you buy them. Find a range that'll let you rent it. Find a buddy that's got a ton of them. Find a way to get as many in your hand. And this is what I tell every person looking for a gun, particularly new gun owners. Yeah. Find what you can shoot comfortably, because it doesn't matter if it is the best gun in the world. If it's not the gun for you, it's not worth shit to you.
I love that. Gary, what about you? Obviously, can't take that one probably because he just stole it from everyone. I think we can all say that. But is there anything else that you would probably say aside from try out as many that you would say to someone who's really interested into their first carry gun?
I mean, if I could add to that, yeah, obviously find something that works for you. Get it, shoot it, get a holster, and carry it. Get comfortable carrying it every day. Don't make it something that you're not going to put on or you have to think twice about it. Wear it around the house for a day or two, get used to it, take that Walmart walk, and get to where you can carry it every day, because you never know when you're going to need it, and you can't predict when you're going to need it.
You know, that's something that we didn't even touch on. That's on my list. But like I said, if we had another hour, we could have touched on it very easily. But holsters and all that, whether you go leather, Kydex, inside the waist, outside the waist. But I'll just say this, holster is in general needs to be a part of your decision. What holsters are available for that gun? When you get a holster, does it feel comfortable? Not just the gun feeling comfortable in your hand. Does it feel good being holstered on your waist or on your hip or wherever you're going to carry? That's part of the comfortability of that gun. So absolutely.
There you go. There you go for next week.
Yeah, we can talk about that next week for sure. I think I've got a really awesome one for next week, but it might be 2 weeks from now. But we can definitely dive into that, you know. Yeah, Clover, I want to ask you the same thing. So take what Gary and Mike maybe expand or change things, whatever you want to say.
I would take what Budget said, and then once you're done wasting your time with all that, buy a 10 millimeter 1911, and you're done. You're done. It's over with at that point. Yeah. No more looking around. No more whatever. I mean they totally corked, you know, just about everything I was going to say. I mean, you need to.
Well, that's why I want you let you go last, because sometimes you think outside the box.
You need to get out. You need to get out of typical mindset of most of the keyboard warriors. You really do. this notion of stopping power. What the crap is? The guns don't work like in the movies. There's no gun you shoot somebody and they fly 6 foot back. I don't care how big of a shotgun, or even if it was a 50 BMG. You shoot somebody point blank with a 50 BMG, you would think that it would be the movies and they would fly back 50 foot, but you're going to get pink mist is what you're going to get. Ain't nobody flying back. So this whole notion of stopping power, what they're getting at is
that 50 is going straight through them. It's not going to. It's just going to go straight through.
It depends depending on the projectile, but yes, yes. Which that gets me to my point of stopping power. What most people actually mean when they say stopping power is the energy dump. You've got velocity, you've got the weight of that projectile. You do a little bit of math, and you come up with the energy and the surface area. That's why one of the reasons that hollow points and different things expand. When they expand, they have more surface area by which they're able to dissipate and distribute more of that energy. It's an energy dump issue. So, and I got to tell you, I mean, it doesn't take that much energy for somebody to know they've been shot. With ammunition is an interesting thing, because a lot of people like to use ball ammunition, right? Yeah. But if you listen to a lot of accounts from people that have been shot and they've been shot with ball ammunition, they'll tell you that they don't realize right away they've been shot, which is interesting. But wow, I don't know where we got the static all of a sudden.
I don't know either.
Nope, I'm muted and it's still there. That's interesting. Gizzard's muted. But anyway, so I would say, since Budget and Gary had really good things, I would say pay attention to your ammunition. Yeah. Because those same type of accounts with people that have been shot with a hollow point, something that actually has expansion, they typically know they've been shot. And once somebody knows they've been shot, that you've probably stopped them at that point.
Yeah. And it's not what the definition in the gun industry is of stopping power. But when I tell people about stopping power, they try to bring up stopping power in every argument or conversation. It is what it is. I say this, what stopping power means to me is, will that eliminate that threat? Doesn't mean that has to kill them. Yeah. Doesn't mean that to kill them. Will it stop that threat from no longer being a threat to me? That's what stopping power is. I don't care what caliber it is. If I shoot that dude with a pellet gun and it stops the threat, that's a stopping power that I want. I want the stopping of the threat, not worried about how much damage I can do to his internal organs and all that. I don't care about that. I'm not necessarily looking to kill someone. I'm looking to stop and end that threat. Mm-hmm. If he happens to die, you shouldn't have been there to begin with. So
yeah, you want to end the act, right? Not necessarily the person. You want to end the act.
The threat. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that person is no longer a threat to me or my family. Once that's over with, hey, if you can get up and walk away because of that, that's cool. Get up and walk away. We can part as friends. Kind of.
Probably not going to happen, but yeah.
Not going to happen, but there's a good chance that doesn't happen that way. But the theory of stopping power to me means something different than what you're talking about. The stopping power, I just want that threat stopped.
Well, I just look at it from,
and I'm not saying I disagree with you, yeah.
But I come from a hunting background, which where that matters, right?
Right.
Energy dump does matter. I mean, if you're shooting a deer at 100 yards, there's a big difference on the impact on that deer with velocity and blah, blah, diminishing velocity and blah, blah, blah at 100 yards versus 600 or 800 yards, depending on the caliber you're using, this, that, and the other. So that translates. You're talking about live animals regardless, right?
Yeah.
So it all translates. The problem is you've got a lot of people that, again, I go back to my original statement, which is you need to learn to kind of sort through and ignore a lot of the internet keyboard commando bluster, because you've got a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. The Tarzan vibe. You've got a lot of people that they have no real world experience to be able to articulate in any way, shape, form, or fashion what that stopping power they're talking about even is.
Or the 380 can't penetrate through a sweatshirt. So yeah, it is.
Well, and that goes back to the ignoring the commandos. If it's a definitive statement and people don't end with some type of a qualifier, like 380 just sucks. because I did this and this and this and this happened and it didn't penetrate so-and-so and it wasn't reliable in this firearm. Okay, cool. Thanks for that information. I can use that. 380 sucks. What am I supposed to do with that? Like literally, what am I supposed to do with that information? Nothing. Yep. It's not helpful in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
You're supposed to throw out your 380, of course.
Mail it to Budget, myself,
well,
Gary.
I don't know about everybody else in the world, but there are certain things in my life that I enjoy the fact that they suck. I'm just saying. So just because it sucks is not a reason to throw it out. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow. Okay. Jesus. All right. All right. I don't even know where to go from that. So we're going to go right into Gary. We're going to give you, first of all,
I got to follow that.
You do. Congrats for getting to, there you go. I love it. Getting to 1,000 subs. Hell, you're almost at 2,000 already. So congrats. Once you hit that 1,000, it kind of took off for you, but congrats. What do you have to plug, whether it's shows, giveaways or videos? Tell people they can find you and what you got coming down the line.
Well, all of the above, actually. Start with my shows. Friday night, I have Foul Territory every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And then Sunday morning, we have a 4-hour open forum, which is called the Early Bird Chat. And that starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. So love to have everybody in on that. Also, I'd like to promote the Hen Subscriber Celebration giveaway, which is a lot of the reason I have the subs I do right now. But that is myself, the Gun Snob Obnoxious One, and Sergeant C4 Defense, which we are kind of collectively refer to ourselves as the Hens. So that's where that comes from. And we are all celebrating channel milestones of one type or another. So we went together and decided to have a nice giveaway. You still have until the 27th, and I put a link out there in the chat. But we're giving away a custom Glock 26 from Live Free Armory. We've got a SAR. I don't remember the exact model, but if you go to that site, there's a video you can watch. It'll tell you all about everything.
B6, I think.
Yes, that's correct. We've got a Live Free Armory slide. We've got knives. We've got ammo, holsters, a little bit of everything out there. So we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, everybody check that out. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, bro. Anytime. Mike, what you got coming down the line? Anything project you're working on? Tell us what we can expect from Budget Guns and Gear Reviews.
Well, my show is moving times. It's returning to its original time slot of 7 p.m. Eastern on Fridays.
I might be able to join a little bit now.
It will no longer be at 11:30. There have been some changes in my life that have allowed me to return to the original time slot. So awesome. Still the same day, just the original time. I will be done before you go on, Gary. So I promise not to quark you.
It's what it is.
I'm not going to be that guy. Got some videos coming out. I've got a lot of videos shot. I just need to make the time to edit them. I've been kind of busy doing some different things. One of which is an unboxing video for this Bastion gear, Braza. This and its companion, the Persuader, that they sent to me.
I love that name, the Persuader. I love that. Yeah. Great.
Oh, they're both really damn cool knives. I'm awful impressed with them so far. Got some goodness. I'm gonna have a couple little bushcrafty outdoors type videos coming up in the near future, because I'm still trying to pimp my basic survival class on April 17th. So go to budgetgunsandgear.com and check the blog posts, and you'll see where you can find out more information on that.
Hey, do me a favor real quick. When you get off tonight, send me a text to that link.
Sure.
I've got some survival stuff coming out in the next week or so, several different videos, and I could put that in the description and mention it if you want me to.
Sweet.
If you're in the Ohio area, let me know.
Awesome.
Sorry, go ahead.
Other than that, same stuff, different day. You can find me here on YouTube at Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. You can find me at Budget Guns and Gear, pretty much all the other social media. BudgetGunsandGear.com is my website. And, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you sending me the invite.
You always get the invite. It's just you're usually preoccupied.
Well, you know what?
I'm
not going to be working afternoons anymore. So it's a good chance I'll be on a lot more often now.
Fantabulous. Clove, bring it home. I mean, do I need to go to you? You don't do anything. So do I even need to let you talk?
Not worth talking about, really.
Yeah.
Let's see, going to record a podcast Friday with Walt Anderson. Mr. Anderson. So shout out to Walt. If you don't check out Walt Anderson, he's a young guy, calls himself a liberal gun owner, and got some really educated, interesting points of view on some stuff. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting conversation Friday. I don't want to say that I disagree with him, but then again, I don't agree with him, but I don't know. It's just there's a disconnect, I think, with age gap there. Content from the Shooting Sports Showcase continues to drop. You guys are going to be sick of that probably over the next couple of weeks. But
I already am. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yeah. Oh, I understand. So trying to get that out in a timely manner, because what's the point of having an event and then releasing footage from it a year later? I'm not Raquel or anything. And then. Right. Yeah. And then next week, gonna record a podcast with Diana Muller, so that should be interesting too. So yeah,
I always say that I'm tired of your videos from that because I wasn't there to.
I wish you were there. I tried to get you to come.
I understand that, and I get that.
Because I was literally by myself. There was no smoke breaks. There was no hanging out with other YouTubers. It was all work and no play at all.
It's all about.
You were the only YouTuber there.
As far as I know, with the exception of the Gould brothers, and I never seen them the whole time I was there.
So here's the thing. It's all about Clover. He wasn't wishing I was there to help promote this thing through my YouTube channel or to help my channel grow or anything like that.
Just so you could entertain.
That is correct.
I needed him to. He needed to entertain him and to have a smoking buddy.
That's correct. You're absolutely 100%
correct. As long as I know where the parameters of our friendship is, I'm good.
That's it. I could care less about your channel and what you do. I need you to be there for me, man. Come on.
I like it.
Come
on,
man.
I know where we are. So,
but no, this also reminded me, since we're talking about getting together, I did hear from Carrie at Wanamaker Tulsa Arms Show today. I do have 10 media passes. We have a staging table for media. We have a couple of vendor passes. So if you're out there, you create content, you're hanging onto the show this far in, and you want to go work the Wanamaker Tulsa Arms Show, then we may have some extra passes. And regardless, even if you don't want to work it, it's an awesome show to go to. So plug and everything for that for sure.
Yep. I want to send a shout out to Tone Frog. He says, "True patriots you all are. Thanks for the true info and knowledge on the things. It's valued by me. So thank you, gentlemen. Have a blessed night. Stay fit. You too, brother. I'm glad we could help you. One thing I can always promise you is it may not be what you like, but it's going to be pretty much to the point, our opinions and all of that. So you may not agree with us. We're not here for you to ever agree. We're enjoying the conversation. We actually hope that you don't agree with us. That furthers on the conversation. So I'm not even going to go there, Steven. I don't want to end on a bad note. So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate you. Especially 2 hours into this. If you're still here live, God bless you. If you're still here in replay or in podcast, I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. But leave a note, leave a comment out there and tell me that you made it this far. Just say, hey, I made it to the end and all of that. So I might do something for you. Might send you a sticker or something like that. So yeah, a couple things real quick to plug for us. We dropped the first of a new series we're calling the Survival Series yesterday. We did the first video. The next one's gonna be coming out every 3 days or so. With that one is you had $50 and 15 minutes in Walmart to get survival supplies for 72 hours. It's a fun video. We got a buddy of ours that has no background in training and survival or anything. It was meet me at the parking lot. He had no idea what was going to happen. I gave him $50 and 15 minutes to go to Walmart. It is an interesting video. We got another one coming up in a couple days about 3 different ways to build a fire outdoors with materials that might surprise you, could be used very easily and very effectively to build a fire in the outdoors. We're going to have different things about building shelters and all that. And that's why I asked you, Budget, is I think that there's a great little opportunity to collab maybe on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So for sure, we're going to be doing that. We got some swag in the last couple of weeks. For those of you that are interested, over on the website and the swag store, the Armed Citizen Podcast patch and the new Jarhead Podcast patch are available in the store. Going to pimp those out. And if you want them, then they're over there on the swag store at ghosttactical.us. Click on the swag and you're good to go. But guys, thank you so much. Thanks to Clover and Budget and Gary for coming on. Go check out all their channels. Go check all their Patreons out. Support them. They're all doing great work. Go check out the Hens giveaway. Mike's coming up on 10,000 subs, so get over there and help him get over 10. Clover is growing really quickly right now, so get over there, and if you're not subscribed to Clover, go subscribe to him as well. Get out there, support as many gun tubers, quote unquote, as you can that fit what you're looking for. And if they're being honest with you, that means you're not going to agree with them all the time. If you agree with everything that someone's saying, then look behind the curtain, because it's probably probably not good. You want to find someone that you trust that's going to give it to you like it is, whether you agree with it or not. So there are a lot of great ones out there, and go find them, go subscribe to them, and support them as much as you can. People don't realize what it takes to run one of these organizations and operations. So if you see someone that's not putting out regular content, understand that it's not. It's time consuming and all that. Just hang in there with them. Hang in there. But anyways, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. We'll see you next week. Semper Fidelis.